Hello to you. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing space again today. I appreciate the opportunity to share this space together. Um, there's no doubt but a lot going on lately for all of us, right? All of us worldwide. And I'm no exception. And then there's our things that we have all in common that's going on. There's our own little worlds going on with the whatever. And sometimes, even if everything is great, it still presents its challenges and the trying to do too many things at once, which, and I've been doing that lately again. It's a pattern that I seem to slip into. Um, and even though I feel like I have been really trying to lighten my schedule, it doesn't feel anywhere near enough. Um, but this whole message of being present, and because of the amount of things to do, um, is plentiful. Like there's always on my mind, and I'm not really present enough for where I would like to be, how I would like to experience my life, how present I would like to be for my own life, right? And I don't see any way. For me, I'm been reviewing it, thinking about it, because that's what we're talking about this year. So it's on my mind. I can't be fully present being over scheduled and over committed. And okay, so we say, well, we live on autopilot, not such a big deal, but um, it changes our experience of things, such as I want to enjoy the experience of some of these things that are in my schedule. And if we're overpacked, oh, it's not. It's all like smothering us. And I want to enjoy this experience of this. I want to enjoy the experience of my life. I want to enjoy doing this. I want to enjoy my life. So I'm just not seeing any way other than slowing down. And, that's going to take some reflection. I think time management is probably a very important aspect of being present. There's a lot of aspects of being present. So our conversation, generally I bring multiple books and talk about different things under the subject. And so far anyway, um I'm not bringing in like time management and stuff like that, but darn, we did talk about it. We've talked about a lot of the things that we would be talking about with this conversation. We've already had conversations about time management. We've had conversations about our self discipline. We've had conversations on nurturing ourselves on an energetic level, the whole freaking year of it. We've had conversations on self discipline a whole year. That incorporated what? That incorporated the time management, and that was a lot under that umbrella of that conversation. We talked about our energy in living the law of attraction. We talked about being mindful in the mindful year. So a lot of these things that are conversation that I'm not bringing the books for. Let me put this dog down. Let me help you. we've already had we've already had the conversation about it. This is the year that brings it home. This is the year where we see what we're made of. This is the practice. And so the practice could be what we're all, our own separate identities. And what does that mean even to you? This is the practice. Being present for our own lives incorporates all of the learning that we've done over the past 5 years. So, a lot of you guys bought books. A lot of us have books from these previous conversations. I know I've got boatloads of them myself. And they're not as organized as they could be. Not should be, but could be. But I darn well know I can go find my books on time management. Tibet Maurice. Tibet Maurice has excellent book on time management. Tibet Maurice, I think, is very good in his style of writing those how to master time management, how to master emotions was a real good book of his. But he's got that how to master series, and I think that those are phenomenal. But instead of just popping by and listening and saying, oh, well, look at that or whatever, letting mind comment, uh, really taking a look at ourselves and asking ourselves, are we present for our own lives? Because I'll be darned, if we're lucky, if we're fortunate enough to have time and be able to reflect on our lives before we pass away, if we're lucky enough to have that opportunity. That's why we're here, to make sure that we're aware of the mind, the monkey mind, and all this other bullshit. Because to me, I see it as my soul, spirit has a human body right now. I see my soul, spirit not just dying when this physical form dies. So I want to enjoy this experience. And being present is our message this year. So, thanks again for being here. Let's put some music on to aid in our releasing some of this stimulation and being present. And you know what? I would suspect, I'm going to say that these messages may get a little bit more meditative the second half of the year, which will be coming up. And maybe you can just be aware of that before we even put this on and treat it as a meditation that you just sit and listen to. You can lay down. It doesn't have to be a formal sitting meditation. Meditations can be just sitting in your most favorite chair, a recliner with your legs propped up. I mean, it could be anything, but what you're looking for is a comfortable, cozy spot, hopefully, preferably distraction free, so you can get to different levels, so we can be a little more in touch with ourselves. And that's lacking. We're going to be moving a little bit more towards that in the latter half of the year, at least. Maybe it's not exactly half, depends, Each day is going to be a little bit different, but I do feel it going more like that. And this message, this book, this offering deserves that from us. So let's put this music on and let that be a tool to help soften and release. So fix things so you feel comfortable. Begin with that. I like to open up the top of my head a little bit and feel nourishment, soothing coming in. And I just feel it. Release those lines in my forehead. Comes on down the ears. I usually let my neck stretch from side to side, maybe a little bit of roll this way, that way, until I hear a couple releases. Shoulders, let them soften, get a little bit lower. I'm going to sink a little bit more comfortable into my pillow nest here. My meditation chair that I've grown to love. And I'm releasing the jaw. I'm letting my eyes close. Oh, I'm feeling softer and I feel my breath getting deeper. I'm noticing my breath. Our beautiful breath. Stop and notice our beautiful breath. Feel the way the breath comes in through the chest. Feel it. Nourishing, circulating throughout the body. Exhaling, releasing tension, tightness. Inhale, releasing and relaxing. Exhale, softening, letting go. The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo is the book we're following this year. New York Times bestseller, Having the Life You Want by Being Present to the Life You Have. And being present is our message that we're offered this year. I love it. I love that we're offered this message this year. This is a real golden nugget. The message we're offered today is titled To Be Awake. This day number 1943 is titled To Be Awake. Take a breath with that. There goes the mind. Bring it back. Soften, loosen, breathe. There is always purpose in being, but not always being in purpose. There is always purpose in being, but not always being in purpose. How easily we get caught up in defining who we are in relation to those around us. I remember walking home from school in the 4th grade when I noticed Roy, a classmate that I didn't really like. He was walking the same pace as me on the other side of the street. Until I noticed Roy, I was lost in the joy of walking home, free from school, not yet enmeshed in anger that waited inside my house. He was having a delightful day, a delightful time. delightful moments. But once he saw Roy, once seeing Roy, I began, without a word, to walk faster, to try to outwalk him. He, of course, sensed this immediately and picked up his gait. As he strode ahead of me, I felt lacking. And so I stepped up my gait. Before I knew it, we were both racing to the corner. And I felt that if I didn't get there first, I would be a terrible failure. Let's just take a breath with that and recognize it. We experience this. Take a breath with this. I want us to feel these messages this year. And I really want it to take root in us, I swear, like a healing medicine. So take a breath with that. I have lived long enough in the world to know by now that this is how our ambitions often evolve. This is how our ambitions often evolve. We first find ourselves alone in the joy of what we're doing. But somehow there are suddenly others along the way, and we lapse into the breathless race of comparison. And then we are hopelessly running to avoid being termed a failure. Gosh, let's feel this. And soften, 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 breathe it until it's gone. From here, we often latch onto the nearest goal as a purpose. If we can't find one nearby, we are thought to be adrift. But our lasting sense of purpose is in our breathing, in our being. As the humanitarian Carol Hedges reminds us, our purpose is that which we most passionately are when we pay attention to our deepest selves. Let's hear that again. Close our eyes and just hear this again. Our purpose is that which we most passionately are when we pay attention to our deepest selves. So underneath all our worries about careers and jobs and retirements, our purpose really comes down to living fully, to being a light with who we are beneath all the names and titles that we are given or aspire to. Imagine Buddha in his moment of enlightenment, of being lighted from within. I doubt if he knew that he was aglow. In fact, when Buddha rose from under the Bodhi tree, it is said a monk approached him in utter amazement at his luminosity and asked, "O Holy One, what are you? You must be a god." Buddha, not thinking of himself as anything but present, answered, "No, not a god," and he kept walking. But the dazzled monk persisted. "Then you must be a diva." And Buddha stopped and said, "No, not a diva," and kept walking. Still, the monk pursued him. "Then you must be Brahma himself." At this, Buddha simply uttered, "No." The monk, confused, implored, "Then what are you? Tell me, please, what are you?" Buddha could not repress his joy, and he replied, "I am awake." Can it be that our purpose, no matter whom we run into, no matter what we are told, is simply to be awake? Let's take a couple breaths with that. Let it sit in there. Let it settle. Let this message settle in us. Breathe with it. The meditation says to sit quietly and meditate on the things that have come to define you. Meditate on the things that have come to define you. Just sit with that and think about it. Eyes closed, no judgment, just holding it in this space called meditation. And feel what you do with your days and say, "I am more than my job." Feel where you sleep your nights and say, "I am more than where I live." Feel who you love and say, "I am more than my relationships." Feel all you have suffered and say, "I am more than my history." Feel your very name. and say, I am more than my name. Feel your breath enter and leave your heart and say, without history or name, I am the flame of life living in this body. The flame of life living in this body. The light within me honors the light within you. In deep and honest gratitude for your presence. Namaste.